Hey guys, it's Scarlet here. I hope you're doing well. I thought I would do a little video for you about Samhain because it is coming up. It is almost the end of October, so I thought I would talk to you today a little bit about what Samhain is and what different practices people do for the holiday. So if you're not very familiar, Samhain is one of the 8 pagan holidays, and it is celebrated pretty much worldwide. It derives from an ancient Celtic festival, though over time a lot of the practices and traditions have evolved and changed. So the date of Samhain is pretty much October 31st through November 1st, and this is for us people living in the Northern Hemisphere. And then if you live in the Southern Hemisphere, it's a bit different. So it would be in late April, early May. Most people who do live in the Southern Hemisphere like to switch the pagan holidays because it doesn't make too much sense to be celebrating a holiday that is about kind of the end of the harvest season when you're at the beginning of the harvest season. So usually people in the Southern Hemisphere just switch the dates, which makes a lot of sense. So Samhain is traditionally a holiday that marked the end of the harvest season and also the end of the year. So it almost functions as a pagan New Year's Day or a New Year's Eve in that way. And over time, Christianity has taken certain traditions and certain practices from these ancient Celtic celebrations and molded them and formed them into different kinds of holidays. So I'm sure you've heard of All Saints Day or All Hallows Eve, and then also All Souls Day. So these kind of days derived originally from these ancient Celtic festival celebrations done through various pagan traditions in various different countries. So one of the things that is most important for Samhain is it's a really important day to remember our ancestors and remember the dead. So it's something that is innately kind of spiritual and personal to a lot of pagans. And while yes, a lot of the pagan traditions have formed into what is now, called Halloween, they function very differently. So Halloween is more of a folk festival celebrated in America and beyond. I'm sure you're all familiar. But Samhain's really more so a bit more serious because it's about recognizing your ancestors, appreciating your ancestors, and even trying to communicate with them. Communicate especially with any lost ones that you have, loved ones that you have lost the past year or so. So it really helps you with that grieving process and with moving on with your life. So it is kind of a more serious religious festival for pagans than our modern concept of Halloween would suggest. Though a lot of traditions like carving pumpkins and bobbing for apples do have origins in some of these more ancient pagan practices throughout Europe. So one of the things you can do for Samhain, if you do want to practice it, is you can create an ancestor altar. So that would consist of photographs of your ancestors, photographs of loved ones that you have lost, and just putting them in a prominent place in your house, maybe leaving a little offering for them. You can also include any heirlooms, like if you have any family jewelry or anything like that that's been passed down to you, you can put it on that ancestor altar as well. Another idea too is to incorporate a tarot card into your ancestor altar. Here I have the death card from the pagan otherworlds deck. I'll see if I can zoom in for you so you can see it. Yep, so this is the death card, which works really well for this festival. And the death card in tarot too, I'm not going to get into it too much for this video, but it's not so much about death as it is transformation. So passing beyond the veil into the other world is more so about transforming from one state to another than like a complete spooky, you know, idea of death that some people associate with this card. So it's not so much about that, more so about transformation. So the ancestor altar is a good way to celebrate Samhain in your own personal tradition. Another thing you can do is just little seasonal imagery. I'm sure we all have some stuff, some decor that we like to use for Halloween things, and a lot of that connects to with the pagan festival of Samhain. So things like gourds and apples and pumpkins, especially things that are in nature and representative of kind of the last of the harvest season, are great things to have around the house. And another thing you can do with those natural vegetables and fruits is to create what people call a feast of the dead. So that would be preparing a special Samhain dinner, and you would leave a place for your ancestors. So you'd have a plate out with food for them during that dinner, and some people even like to stay completely quiet during that meal. And the offering you can either leave on your ancestor altar overnight, it's up to you. That's another great way to kind of feast with your ancestors, and that's a tradition that you see in Dia de los Muertos Day in Mexico, where people visit the cemeteries and have meals with the gravestones. Another thing that you can do too is just a cemetery visit. Even if you don't have any ancestors in that particular cemetery near you, you can bring flowers and lay it on a grave. That's a great way to just honor the dead as well. Another thing you can do is set up a bonfire if you have the land and the wood, just gathering around with your friends or family around the bonfire. And another great thing you can do is write down certain things that you would like to change for yourself and toss it into the flames. So in that way you are kind of starting over or starting new. And that kind of ties into the concept that Samhain's really about the end of the year in a way. It's the end of the harvest, and then you come to the next holiday, which will be Yule, which is more like a beginning of the next cycle. So Samhain's really more about honoring our ancestors, honoring the dead, whereas then Yule is all about the start, the restart, the rebirth of our lives. And so those are just some quick tidbits, some little knowledge about Samhain. I could go on. Of course, there is way more information out there, but I would love to know from you guys how you celebrate Samhain, what practices you do for Samhain, and also is what you think about this pagan holiday. Is it your favorite? Is it your least favorite? So I'd love to know more, and please do share in the comments, and I hope to do another video for you guys soon. I have a lot of exciting things coming up, so I will talk to you later. And again, thanks so much for watching. It means the world to me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.